And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com, www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Go to the website, get the app, go to the app. They will bring it right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop, or head down to Dayton, Kentucky. Tell them to pump it up. Save yourself 15% off of that Galactic goodness. It is out of this world. Hi, Aaron.
Yo.
How you doing?
I'm good. Sunday.
It's
relaxed day. Yeah, you're not doing so good.
No, do I sound as bad as I feel? Do I look as bad as I feel? I feel like I look as bad as I feel.
Yeah, you look like shit.
I've been in bed all day. So it's one of those radio. I'm in for Austin and Tony tomorrow on Cincy 360. And then the BBP tomorrow night, and then basketball Tuesday, and then the BCJ pod Wednesday. And then Oklahoma Saturday, and then we're headed to Kansas City for the game Monday. I don't have a lot of time to be sick, so trying to rest up and get this out of me. But hence wearing the hoodie under the ring light, which I'm sweating off a couple pounds during this show. So let's get it going. It was another fascinating weekend of Big 12 basketball action, Aaron. And we can start right there as the Bearcats' next opponent, TCU, opened the slate by hosting number 2 Houston. It was the rock fightiest of rock fights. I think TCU had 5 points, like 10 and a half minutes into the game. And then they came back to life, and they were able to hold off the Cougars 68-67. The second straight loss for Houston as they fall to 1-2 in Big 12 play. And Aaron, I've been telling people about this TCU team for a couple weeks now.
Yep.
They should have beat Kansas. They get a big win over Oklahoma. Now they knock off Houston. Last week, they were the hottest team in the country. They beat number 9 Oklahoma. They beat number 2 Houston. That is just a good team. And we talked about it a little bit last night, but they have 5 different career 1,000-point scorers on their roster. They have a star in Emmanuel Miller that made the game-winning bucket against Houston on a baseline drive. Jamie Dixon has them playing very well. And Houston is finding out you're not in the American anymore, guys. You don't just get to show up and win. You got to play well. They have not played well the past week.
Everybody freaking out about Cincinnati being 1-2. So is Houston. So are 5 other teams in this conference. I think there's 7 teams currently at 1-2. So it's a wild conference. Wild conference.
Yeah, and TCU's offense is really good. They play hard. They don't have a ton of size, but they're physical, as you would expect from a Jamie Dixon team. I guess what you hope, Aaron, is maybe they're riding a little high coming into Fifth Third Arena on Tuesday. Maybe they're feeling a little good about themselves. We always talk about, right, you don't want to play a really good team coming off a loss.
Yeah. Maybe
playing a team like that, riding high off of 2 top 10 wins, you can jump up and catch them at home. They're not unbeatable, but I've enjoyed watching them play. I like their style of play. I think it's quality. It's sustainable.
Well, Emmanuel Miller, we've talked about him. He's really good, making a case for potentially being conference, all conference guy there.
Yeah, for sure.
But their bench, though, with Charles O'Bannon Jr. and Jameer Nelson Jr., if those names sound familiar, they should.
Jameer Nelson Jr. was really good against
He's really good.
Texas, or against Houston.
Just in general, he's really good.
Yeah, he had taken a little bit to kind of fit in there, but you can tell over the past couple games, he's starting to find his rhythm. He was pivotal for them down the stretch of that game. So, yeah, they're going to be tough. Kansas and Oklahoma was a close game for most of the day, and then Kansas pulls away in the second half. They went 78-66. Oklahoma, top 10 in the country, 1-2 in the Big 12. That's more, Hunter Dickinson, 24 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks. Kansas gets back on track a little bit. I mean, they could very well be 1-2 in this conference if they didn't get a favorable whistle. But that's kind of what you expect Kansas to do, get right at home.
Yeah, KJ Adams and DeJuan Harris Jr., neither of them actually came out of the game. They both played 40 minutes each. So you're starting to see some of that here in conference where the benches are shrinking.
I'll tell you this. I also would not take KJ Adams out of the game. Like, he would have to crawl off the court, gasping for air, before I would send a sub to the table for KJ Adams. They're not the same player in what they do, but he reminds me of how important Gary was for UC. Like, remember, it got to the point where when you saw Gary check out, you were like, oh boy. And then he was being replaced by Trey Scott, who turned out to be great. But when you saw Gary heading to the bench, you were like, I don't like this. You better get him back in there as soon as you possibly can. That's what KJ Adams is for me. I don't want to beat it to death twice a week, but I have because I love him.
Kevin McCullough actually led scorers, so not to discredit him, as KJ Adams does fill up the stat sheet, but McCullough was leading scorer there for Kansas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing. Dickinson and McCullough are their studs offensively.
Yeah.
Adams does everything.
He does.
He's
a double machine at this point.
I mean, he just does everything for them every night. Big one for the Bearcats. BYU 63-58 over UCF. You needed BYU to get a little confidence here. UCF played well coming off their upset of Kansas. UCF just doesn't have enough offense consistently to be one of the better teams in this league, but they defend, boy. I mean, they defended the hell out of Kansas. They did a great job on BYU, held an explosive offense to 63, but BYU kind of reversed course on what we saw happen to them in the first couple games, where, you saw that lead late kind of expand on them and they couldn't catch up. But they were better down the stretch against UCF. So nice win for BYU.
Yeah, UCF's running a short bench. They did get a transfer or two. Mikey Williams coming. That's what's being said.
No, he's coming, and he didn't play at Memphis, so in theory, he should be able to, I think, play there at the semester break. If he can start classes and get through. I don't.
A lot of
I
stuff
haven't heard,
on his table currently, so we'll see.
Yeah. His plate is full of his own doing.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, UCF's not going to be an easy out. Like, especially at their place, you're gonna have to scratch, claw, and fight because they will defend the hell out of you. So, but good for BYU to get on the board there. Bit of a surprise. West Virginia picks up their first Big 12 win. They moved to 1-2 in the league as they take down Texas. A. Smith's with 32 points, but not good enough as West Virginia built up a double-digit lead late in the second half. Texas tried to storm back, but couldn't get it done. They get 50 from A. Smith's and Disu, and 23 from everybody else. Figures.
Disu's really good.
Yeah.
Kirk Risa, Raekwon Battle each have 14 in that one. With Pat Sumnick, he led all scorers for West Virginia anyway, with 16. But Disu and A. Smith had more than anybody.
Yeah.
On West Virginia.
look, it felt like West Virginia was going to be a pushover. You knew the talent was there, but it just hadn't clicked. They have enough dudes that they could be a pain in the ass, in mid, early mid-February. Teams feeling like, well, what are they going to experience, Aaron? Teams are going to go through what UC's going through right now, where they 6 ranked teams in a row, bang, 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 bang. And then you get to West Virginia, and you're like, oh, all right, we can
take a night off.
Cruise. Yeah, and then boom, West Virginia jumps up and gets you. Like, that's the stupidity of this league, is even the worst team. West Virginia's the worst team. And they have legit high major talent up and down their roster.
Supposedly, there's still a team out there right now that's 0-3. So,
right. Texas Tech squeaks one out over Kansas State. I watched a little bit of this one. I'm not sold on this Kansas State team yet. Obviously, I really liked them last year. They've got some good pieces, but they don't look like they have that. They don't have that dog in them that last year's team had. Yeah. Well, you had 2 first team, or at least All-American caliber players in Noel and Keaton Johnson. I just don't see an alpha that has emerged for them yet that fills that void that was left behind. But Texas Tech looking good. They're balanced. They've got a couple guys at the top of the roster. Pop Isaacs.
I like Joe
really
Toussaint. I think
Toussaint.
He's probably my favorite person on the team to watch play.
Little guy, gritty, gets in there and not afraid to stick his nose in and make a play.
Warren Washington
made a couple big layups. He made a couple big layups down the stretch for them.
They're big. Warren Washington. He's really good too.
Yeah,
I like his game. He reminds me a little bit of what's the guy who transferred down to Georgia Southern?
Oh God, Ellie.
It's a semi. Yeah. He reminds me a little bit of that.
Yeah. I can see that. They kind of remind me of UC a little bit. Like, they've got some talent, but it's more about the sum of the parts than it is, any one individual guy. They've been a fun watch. And then Iowa State comfortably 66-42 over Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State scored 16 points in that second half.
Did you hear about this game?
Where they had to push it back because of the weather, and Oklahoma State got travel issues or whatever.
They pretty much got off the plane and went right to the gym to tip.
Yeah.
So there was no get comfortable, warm up, walk through, anything. It was get off the plane, go hoop. Good luck.
Iowa State's good. Like, that's not a team you want to walk off the bus and into that 20-minute mark where the band starts playing and they start doing layup lines. That's basically what Oklahoma State had to get ready for that game. So
I can't imagine what this fan base would have done if Cincinnati had been in a situation like they would have just lost their minds.
So yeah, all in all, another excellent day of hoops. I did find it funny. The Mouseketeer Madness crew is now attacking the Big 12, saying because Houston has lost a couple games and Kansas lost a game, that the Big 12 is overrated and inflated rankings, and that the Big East is a better conference.
Sure. Just real quick, Baylor, Texas Tech, you're only 2 up there at 3-0. Kansas, Iowa State, TCU, Kansas State at 2-1, and then Houston, West Virginia, Texas, Cincinnati, BYU, Oklahoma, UCF.
Everybody else 1-2,
and Oklahoma State down at the basement at 0-3.
Yeah. Tuesday night. Interesting. Not really a lot of marquee stuff Tuesday night. You get TCU at Cincinnati, which a big one for the Bearcats. We'll talk about it ad nauseum this week. Have to defend home court. Have to get at least 1, preferably 2 wins. in this little mini 2-game homestand. Baylor at Kansas State, Kansas at Oklahoma State, and Iowa State at BYU. That's a big one for BYU. Really, really big one for BYU.
I want to go back to that Baylor-Kansas State game. I think that's when we find out if Kansas State's for real.
Yeah, I don't think they are. I mean, I don't know. I like Jerome Tang. I think they're good. I just don't know that they're top half of the conference good. And then on Wednesday, Oklahoma has a chance to get right a little bit after losing 2 last week. They host West Virginia, UCF at Texas. That's a fascinating one. Like UCF can pull that upset. Texas is not great. They just have 2 guys that can beat you.
We'll find out if UCF's for real.
And then Texas Tech at Houston.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. And we're gonna see, like, does this Houston team have the dog in them, that the nasty in them that his past teams have had? Because to me, we talked about this for a couple weeks, Aaron. I don't look at this team. I think Houston is good, but I don't look at them as on the same plane as the last couple teams that Kelvin's had. And we're about to find out.
Yes, we are.
All right, that's going to wrap it up. We'll see you tomorrow night for the BBP. Nico Palizzetti joins us. Hopefully I can talk. That's a nightcap brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!